Just started. Okay, now we're joined. We got some eager media here. Okay, we're joined by Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher from RFK Racing. We'll go ahead and open up the questions. Let's go ahead and start over here with Mike. He was first up.
Mike, you had your hand up before this man even got to the podium. We're hungry today.
Turn that mic on.
Should I be scared? Does it work now? Okay.
Mike Embry, Auto Week. Brad, you've won 6 times, I think, at Talladega, Super Speedway Ace, but you haven't crossed the line first year on the 500. Is that just coincidental, basically, or are the two tracks so different that they don't really relate in that way?
Yeah, I don't know. I probably have won some races at Talladega I didn't deserve to win, and probably lost some here I deserved to win. So imagine it evens itself out somehow. It just hasn't evened itself out in the way I kind of would like with here. But feel like we were really close last year, of course, you know, trying to make the pass for the lead in the last lap and the last corner. So it doesn't get much closer than that. If I could just keep the thing with 4 wheels on the ground pointed the right way for a whole race, I'd have a pretty good shot at it. But then again, you know, there's some stats floating around. 75-80% of the field wrecks out of this thing. So something about the Daytona 500 where we seem to get a lot of wrecks here as late. So had a hard time missing all those. And the key to me, though, is when you do, you know, somehow become one of that 10 or 20% that doesn't wreck out these races, that you capitalize on it and you win those races. So, you know, I think we're prepared for that, and we've got good cars. A great day yesterday on the track, and I feel comfortable that we'll be in the running. So I'm excited about it, for not just for me, but for both cars. And we'll have to see how the weekend plays out. If we can avoid those crashes, we'll be there and we'll have a shot at it for sure.
All right, let's go over here to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Hey, Brad, last couple years, the sport's seen significant changes. You know, if you think about 2 years ago, before this race, there wasn't a dirt race. There weren't all the schedule changes in the car. You know, a lot of people talk about that's created a lot of momentum. As a team owner, a lot of those changes have come at expenses to teams. So as these big changes have taken place and maybe presented that momentum, what's the challenge moving forward? Can big moves still be sustained, or do things have to be kind of throttled back to help teams after what teams have done the last couple of years?
Well, I think that the moves on the schedule have been, you know, a huge success. You could maybe argue long overdue. So I'm really happy to see the changes that we've made and eagerly anticipating changes we will make to the schedule for years to come. I think it drives an energy into our sport that is critical for our sustainability and success. So if those come at some expenses to the teams along the way, I think, and I can say this now, I'm a team owner, that we just need to suck it up and make it work. And, you know, when you look at those costs, they're not nothing without a doubt, but they're nowhere close to, you know, even more than 1 or 2% of our budget. So I try not to sweat it. And NASCAR's done a great job, I think, with some give backs along the way. They fought really hard on the schedule stuff with everybody to get it to where it's more tolerable, which I think on its face is probably hard to explain the real ROI. But, you know, we had gotten to a point where, you know, just being in the garage area was a miserable experience for a lot of people. And by getting it down to 2-day shows and some of these things, we're able to kind of make it more manageable for our people. And I think that was a big give back that cut some costs and really improved the culture of the garage area and stopped burning out people so fast. So I think there's been some give backs along the way to offset, you know, some of the challenges in the schedule. There are a lot of people that, you know, are probably frustrated over racing on Easter in the garage area, but, you know, it's the biggest, or one of the biggest TV weekends for sports. So it certainly made sense to me from that perspective. So I think we've got a lot of good things going on, and more good things than bad than I've seen in my time at the Cup level, which is, you know, 12, 13 years now. and there's a lot of reason for excitement. I think we're on an upward trend, and a big part of that starts with schedule variability that we really hadn't had. I think 5-6 years ago and on back. So it's not the only thing we've got to be excited about, but it's certainly one of the high tides for sure.
All right, let's go over here to Mark.
Mark Garrow, PRN, off to the right here, guys. For both of you, your thoughts on Atlanta maybe turning into a speedway race. And Brad, we were just talking about your stats at Talladega and some of the near misses here. Do you like the idea of it turning into a speedway race?
Go ahead, Chris.
So I got to run the test down there. Obviously, it's just 3 of us. New asphalt, it's always hard to get a really good read. But leaving there, I did not feel like you're going to have a Daytona or a Talladega race. Handling was very much a factor. Yes, the throttle time was wide open, but there were still some pretty big moments with very few cars. The racing surface is very narrow with the added banking. So I don't think that you're going to end up with the product we have here. I don't know what it'll look like. It's going to be some form of a hybrid, right? It's get more cars out there, track rubbers up, grip goes up. Maybe it'll trend more towards a Daytona style race. But I left there thinking that it's not Daytona, it's not Talladega. There's going to be a lot that we're going to be focusing on to try and have some downforce in the cars, have some good drivability, be able to move around. It's not going to be see how fast you can go single car. You're going to be trying to get handling into the race car.
Yeah, I think for a long time SMI wanted a plate track, and so they made one. And it'd be interesting to see how it plays out because the other plate tracks are 2.5 miles, where Atlanta's 1.5 miles. So that mile shorter distance, naturally makes the turns much tighter than what they would be at a track like this, and the straightaway shorter as well to make moves. So that'll definitely look different than Daytona and Talladega. I can't say I know exactly how. I haven't even turned a lap around the track, and I know it always looks different between testing and racing. So a lot of question marks for sure.
Come up here to Jenna.
Thanks. Yeah, Brad. Earlier today, McDonald's released a racing line with 2311, and it's streetwear. And Denny was able to talk about, the demographics that it's, pointed to. As a new owner, how much, if any, of that do you have to look into, and how much is the way things look and who they speak to? How much does that matter to you?
Yeah, well, this sport's changing, and we're trying to find, new fans and try to grow with the world around us. And I'm probably not the fashion expert in the room by any means, but there's all kinds of new opportunities for us as a sport to grow into new technologies and things that resonate with younger fan base. And that always comes at the risk of alienating an older fan base. And it seems like we're always kind of dancing on that, and I understand that. But I think it's important for us to have our eyes wide open, whether it's fashion trends or NFTs or whatever it is next. Cryptocurrency, I think, is the hot button now. You watch the Super Bowl and you would think the world was electric cars and crypto coins. I don't know if that's what most of the real world sees, but it's probably more what the next generation is going to see, and when we have to be prepared for that, and I think that's driving a lot of our future looking for the sport.
All right, let's go to Justin and then Jeff and Jordan. Yep.
Oh, way back here. I'm sorry. Way back.
Brad, speaking of next big things, 10 years ago, the race at the Daytona 500 was the infamous race where you sent out the tweet from the backstretch. And just kind of looking back on that, what do you think that did for the sport? And kind of looking back, what did that do personally for you as you blew up overnight on social media?
Yeah, it was an interesting time. I can tell you, a lot of people still to this day think there was a strategy behind that, and I can assure you that I had no plans for a car to run into a jet dryer. So that might be a shock to some, but it was an interesting night for sure. It's a night I'll never forget. It was a great year for me, obviously going on to win the championship beyond that. I think it was a good moment for our sport. I hesitate to take too much credit for it because I think the sport would have got there, maybe not then, but sooner rather than later. And it kind of helped set the stage for a rebrand of the sport and new marketing campaigns, and it really gave those a lot of energy to lift off. So I'm really hesitant to take too much credit for it because I think it was going to happen anyway, whether it was me or somebody else. But it was nice and something fun to be a part of that, one day I'll try to explain to my kids and they'll think I'm crazy, but that was really a good beginning for our sport in the digital media age.
Okay, let's go back here to Jeff.
Hey, Brad, as someone who didn't make the main event for the Clash, would you be okay seeing that format come to a points race of some kind?
Yeah, I think it was an interesting event. I'm really hesitant. I thought the LA Coliseum in the Clash was a huge success for our sport. I think sometimes we have this habit of taking something that works and then just copy and pasting it until it doesn't work anymore. So I'm super hesitant to, one, I would convey that I thought the event was a huge success. But two, I would hesitate to say, hey, let's do this 10 times a year for 5 straight years, because I think that kind of burns off. But I think there's great opportunities for our sport to learn from it and apply it forward. The event was, I don't know how you could say anything less than a success. That all the fears we had went great. The track didn't tear up. The cars didn't fall apart mostly. And the fans showed up. All the things that I think we were nervous about ended up going great. So clearly there's more we can do there. I think just as a whole, and I've kind of seen this with events of similar nature in the NASCAR season, whether it's the Roval or the dirt races, where the first year is really strong and then years 2 and 3 kind of trail off and it gets overplayed real fast. So I think we just have to be careful against doing that and allowing that to happen. And I'm conscientious of the rhetoric around it, that we, one, acknowledge the success, but then two, let's not oversaturate as well.
Go ahead, Jordan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've given him some hard times about it. Yeah, he really said that? Come on, man. But he's having fun with it and doing his own thing. And he's got a gift for talking, so you hate to see that not get used. Sometimes I think he should be in here, but all them spotters, they love that stuff. And it's great that the fans like it, too. It's a new way for them to engage. And I can't keep up with all the podcasts. I get a podcast request every day, and man, God bless people that can listen to them and do these all day. I don't know how you all do it, but I'm glad that the fans enjoy it, and there's an authentic voice to it. He and I had a good banter back and forth on Denny Hamlin. That was probably the biggest. He said, well, I don't know if Denny Hamlin has a Hall of Fame career. Like, come on, man. You win the Daytona 500 twice, you're going in the Hall of Fame. So, or 3. Yeah. So he and I, we bantered on that one a little bit, but we love to get underneath each other a little bit. I think that's healthy.
All right, let's come over here to Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net. Chris, I'm over here today. So is a 2-part question. Is Brad your teammate or the owner, and do you feel comfortable moving him to win the 500?
So,
This is going to be an every week question.
yeah,
isn't
I
it?
think this is coming more than not. Yeah, I mean, it is. It's both, right? We got a teammate. We were out there working together a lot yesterday, trying to learn what we can with these new cars, and it's helpful too because we can trust each other. I am sympathetic to his position as an owner in the current environment of shortages, I guess, and supply chains. So I understand it. Kind of brings you back to racing growing up when you knew you had to race that car the next week and you better take care of it and race hard. So I understand that there's a thin line, but going out there and being able to work together to try and also find out how we can best situate ourselves to be able to win races. So at the end of the day, for the 500, I think, or for any race, I think I've told them I'd take a shot, but I'm not going to wreck my teammate. One, I'm definitely not going to wreck my boss. But I think you gotta race hard, right? And you wanna be in that position. You want to be 1-2 and have the opportunity to put cars 1-2 across the line. And obviously you want to be selfish and be number one. But if you can have them both there and have a shot at it, that's really what we're trying to get to here. And like Brad said, being that final 20% that survives it, and then ultimately in that situation is a good spot. So yeah, there's a balance, but I mean, honestly, it's you don't want to wreck anybody. You want to have a good, clean race to win it and get all the way to that checker flag, right? I haven't had a whole lot of luck coming down to the last lap of these speedway races either.
I don't know a lot of people that can say they don't wreck a lot at Daytona other than Denny. So
Okay, we got time for a few more. Let's go back to Ken. Right here.
Brad, the inventory situation for your team this week in terms of backup cars, other parts and pieces, how good or how bad is it?
well, I mean, it can always be better, but we're here. We've got great cars to race with, and we're a little bit living 1 week at a time. Yes, no doubt about it. But you know what? I don't think we can let that be an excuse for us not to go out and get the job done.
Okay, let's come here to Lee.
Brad, I think you were more fashion forward before your Burberry coat got taken out of the Penske hauler. That being said, back to the parts deal. How frustrating is it for somebody who's a manufacturer not to be able to provide parts that, you know, I know these guys all have contracts, but you're sitting there with the capability to build these parts and can't. So how frustrating is it from your standpoint right now?
Yeah, I mean, the team guys are, you know, they're living that a lot more than I am. You know, the guys that are on the floor are the ones that are more frustrated because when a part comes in, it's now, hey, we're working through the weekend, and because everything is just in time, and we can't lose that time. So, you know, for me, it's not terribly frustrating, but I have a lot of empathy for the guys, not just on our team, on all the teams. That, you know, a part comes in on Friday and sorry, you have to work through the weekend because we have to get this done now. And so it's really affected their lives the most, and it's been a big challenge for our shop teams. And you know, that said, we have almost 200 people, just shy of that, and you know, we try to use that manpower wisely to work around it. But you know, there's a lot of sacrifices they're making that aren't sustainable. But I suspect that we'll get out of this here by, you know, mid to late summer, and we'll get to a new normalcy, and that'll work its way out.
Okay, we got time for one more right here.
Thank you. Dale McFadden, FrenchRich.com. Brad, kind of going off of what Jenna asked you earlier, in your new role as a owner/driver, how has your understanding of the strategies and thought process of how NASCAR drivers are marketed on a national level changed? And as a driver, in your opinion, what's working effectively right now, and what would you like to improve upon?
Yeah, well, I've made it a point to intentionally not sit in a lot of meetings of that nature because I've got my hands really in I'm probably more elbows deep on the competition side and turning this company around to where it can compete and win for races. And there's just only so much I can do. So when it comes to a lot of the more business natured aspects, you know, Steve Newmark and the team are more into that world than I am. But that said, there's incredible opportunities out there that are just coming at us from all directions. And I think we'd be foolish not to embrace them. We have a leadership team that I think is really engaged in doing just that. at NASCAR. I think Steve Phelps is pushing really hard in this direction, and so it's going to happen. I think NASCAR does a better job than they have, maybe over the last decade of integrating themselves into mainstream culture and the next big things as they come, rather than kind of playing from behind, but more playing from in front. So I think there's good energy there, good energy across our entire sport, and it's I feel good about my investment and time and being an owner. I can tell you that, because I think the sport's really on the cusp of a big upswing.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for coming in. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.